Sarah Hops with the Rhinebeck School of Music, and in this lesson I'm going to talk a little bit about musicianship, and I'm going to talk about things that maybe you can think about when you're learning a song or thinking about performing a song or singing and playing a song that might make your musicianship a little better. So most beginners are probably struggling just to make their chord changes and to keep like a straight rhythm that's in time. So if that's you, this might be a little more advanced, but this is for people who are already sort of making their chord changes. Maybe they're doing open mics, maybe they're performing a little bit, but they just want to get better at their craft. So the first thing you want to think about are dynamics. So one thing you can think about with your right hand and your strumming is, like, say you have a basic pattern, just like down, down, up, down, up, down, up. So you can practice strumming lightly and quietly. You can practice strumming a little bit harder and in between, and a little louder. So you know the range of, how quiet and how loud you can be when you're strumming. So now maybe I want to accent different beats within that strum pattern. Like maybe the first beat I want to be louder and the other ones I want to be quieter. So I've got like... So I'm accenting that first beat and then I'm bringing it back with the volume on the others, right? Or maybe I don't really want to play the first beat, or I kind of want to mute it. I'm just palm muting that first beat. Now it has a different feel, right? Maybe I want to accent the upbeat, so like the first upbeat, so down, down, up, so like down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. So I'm giving a volume to certain strums that I'm doing, whether they're the downs or the ups, and then laying off and playing quietly for the others. And this kind of creates a really nice contrast. It gives you like a different feel within the rhythm pattern. When I'm thinking about a song, when I'm playing a song, I generally like to think about dynamic contrast and how I can build that song. So for example, the other day we were doing Crazy Love on the channel, right? And I kind of think about like the verses as a little bit down dynamically, a little bit quieter. And there's several ways you can achieve that. Like, so palm muting is one. So the strum pattern I'm doing and the chord progression is just G, B minor, C to G. So what I'm doing is I'm palm muting to kind of mute the strings. Also, when you don't have a drummer and you're playing guitar or ukulele, like you kind of want to think of like a rhythm maybe that the drum would be playing. So I'm just going down, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. So if I did that straight, down, 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 up, down, up, that's really the rhythm I'm playing. But when I palm mute it, now it's got like a little bit more of a percussive feel, right? Something more of like what a drummer would do. So I'm really like the first two down beats, down, down, I'm palm muting, and then I'm kind of lifting up and I'm letting the down, up, ring. So down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down. So it has kind of a nice feel about it, right? So that's one way that you can kind of contrast your rhythms and bring them a little down, is palm muting. Another thing is like maybe finger picking the pattern, the chord pattern, instead of strumming it. And I'm just sort of making up a pattern. I don't have anything like really specific I'm doing. I'm just going thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index. brings it down, the dynamics, a little bit in the verse, right? And one thing you want to consider if you're singing is that you never really want to play the guitar louder than your voice. When people listen, like I've been playing concerts forever, and the one complaint people usually have is, oh, I can't hear your voice that well. Now that sometimes can't be controlled if you're playing with a band and you have a really loud drummer, or you don't have anybody to do the sound to like bring your voice out more. But if it's just you playing, you know, acoustic guitar or electric guitar and singing, there's no way that like you can't control that, because you have all the dynamics in your right hand. You can play softly, you can play quietly, you don't have to play loudly. If you're playing louder than your voice and you're strumming really hard and people can't hear the lyrics and they can't hear your voice, you know, that's something you want to be aware of. So dynamics, that's one thing you can think about. Another thing is like finding the key of the song that you're playing in and thinking of the major scale or the pentatonic scale that goes along with that key. So I'm playing in G major, and most of the time, like if you don't know about music theory, you can think that most pop and rock songs start on the chord of the key that you're going to be playing in. So Crazy Love, if I'm playing this and my first chord is G major, I can safely bet that the song's probably in G major. Of course there's exceptions, but with a lot of the easy beginner songs that we do on this channel, a lot of the time the first chord that you play is going to be the key that you're in. So if you know your G major scale, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, you can use that scale to create little fills in between your chords, or you can use them to add depth to your chords. So if I'm playing a G chord and I know my G major scale, any one of these notes can be added to my chord. So maybe I want to add this C note. Maybe I want to add the D. Maybe I want to add this A note. Or the E. I'm just doing little scale fills here. Now I've got more interesting things I can add to that G. I can do the same notes with the C chord. All these notes that are in the scale I can add to the chord and create color. B minor. Right? It's all right there if you know your scale. The idea is to play little simple phrases, and maybe not so much like over your voice when you're singing, but in the in-between parts. So like in Crazy Love, I have G, B minor, C, G. And over this G, there's like a little bit of space there, and you can do like some kind of little scale fill before you go back to the G again, right? I'm just making stuff up, but you can plan things out. Like if you're not to the point where you can improvise that stuff, you can plan it out. But I'm just doing like a little fill out of that G major scale and then going back to the G. So that's where all of your chord extensions come from too. Your sus4s, your add 9s, your 5s, your major 7s, your 6s, you know, your 13s, like all of that stuff, all those chord extensions, they all just come from the scale, really. So they're notes that you add to the chord that are in the scale, but they're not in the chord normally, right? So normally when you play a G chord, you have G, B, and D, but if you add an F sharp, then you have a nice G major 7. If you add a C, you have a sus4. If you add an A note, you have an add 9 chord. If you add an E from the scale, that's your 6. So you have all that color you can add to your chords. And another thing you can think about are what are called chord inversions. So you can think about all these different ways that you can play a G chord and a B minor chord and a C chord across the fretboard. You know, maybe you want to play your G like this, coming from this barred G, but just playing the bottom 4 strings. Or maybe you want to play your B minor up here, coming from this B minor chord, and your C chord up here, and then back to your G. Now listen to how that sounds. So I have G, C, G, G, B minor, C. So you can add so much more melodic depth to your song that way. You know, chord inversions, so different ways that you can play the chords around the fretboard. So hopefully that helps, just giving tips on overall musicianship, or when you're trying to arrange a song as a solo artist, or you want to sing and play something. There's so many things that you could do to add depth to it. And you know, it's not always, when I cover a song, I try not to do it exactly like the original. I try to put my own spin on it. I try to improvise and play with it a little bit and kind of make it my own. But I want to think about building the song too. I want to think about, you know, okay, my verse, I should be kind of quiet. You know, it depends on the song too. And then I want to build it, you know, open it up. You know, so it has a place to go. All right, so hopefully that helps. If you haven't already, visit www.rhinebeckschoolofmusic.com and subscribe. Become a patron, patreon.com/Rhinebeck School of Music. I'll see you at the next one.